Great honor for me to be here. And a wonderful journey. And I couldn't have done this journey without the 3 years of ragda that I got in NDA. This is what made what I am today. The many years of the Indian Army also instilled in me many qualities because of which I've been able to travel thus far. How many, do you have GPS, what, CGS systems still? CGPS systems still? How many three-pointers here? None? None? Really? So my breed, my species has ceased to exist now. When I passed out and they used to prepare these journals and the fifth termers would write about the sixth termers who were passing out, they wrote for me blanket in GCI. You don't know what GCI is, right? It's called ATC now. GCI was, so we used to be always held back whenever the term break used to happen for reappearing in the examination, first classes and then reappearing in the examination. And obviously everyone at home would ask and we would say we are the specialized cadets who get extra bit of training because the entire Indian Army, the Indian Armed Forces depends on us. Every term I had to stay back. That's why they gave me a blanket in GCI. I got a blazer in volleyball, so they gave me a blanket in GCI. I remember when I was made CSM, and we used to have this NDA special come from Delhi. You still have NDA special? Yes, sir. It's coming from Delhi back to NDA, and my mother was seeing me off, and she was crying, like every mother would. And then one of my batchmates walked up to her and said, "Hey, ma'am, you see all those young cadets crying and their mothers crying?" She says, "Yeah." She said, "They're all crying because he's going to NDA as CSM." We were also backbenchers here. And when in these lovely classrooms that you have here, the academics would go on and the backbenchers would sit and plan out all the moves in the volleyball court. Who would block, who would smash, how would things move. And we had this mathematics teacher called Jatwa. Not heard of him? So Jatwa was a maths teacher and maths was my Waterloo. And obviously we used to try and come as late as possible to the maths class. And we would give the excuse that, "Sir, we are appointments, so we were taking post." So he used to say, "CSM, were you taking post or eating toast?" So he had this, used to rhyme. He used to say things like, "When I married my wife, she was beautiful from far. Now she is far from beautiful." You say all these sort of things. And you tell him, and you'll be making those moves and he'll come to you and say, "What are you doing?" So he says, "Sir, I'm working on the maths, I'm working hard." You say, "You're working hard or you're hardly working?" You say, come up with all those sort of things. So, but lovely memories of NDA, the classes, the early morning classes, the drill instructors, the PT, the AIDS then was acquired in drill square when you had a very funny haircut. So if you went to the drill square with long hair, they would just chop off a portion of your hair. So that was acquired in drill square. So lovely, lovely memories of NDA. What I remember especially and what affected me in my life was in sixth term, I was CSM and we were the champion squadron as well. And after we used to move out from this auditorium, it used to be a massive exercise with different terms doing different sort of walk. It still happens? So, well, that was happening and ECOSCON. How many from ECO here? Great. There has to be a special affinity, guys. Pardon me for that. So EcoScorn said, you have to take us back walking. We are champions corn now. So for one day, take us back walking. And I said, all right, I'll take you back walking. So from here, we started marching. And when we reached the main square, the academy cadet adjutant at that point of time, my batchmate, he said, stop. He said, how come Echo is walking? I said, look, you're my buddy, you're my course mate. We've just won, and I promised them that I'll take them walking. And nothing doing. Nobody walks here. I said, listen, I'm your course mate. He says, nothing doing. They are not walking back. I tried my best, and I turned around and went to my squadron, and I said, look, guys, I failed. I can't take you back walking. He's senior to me. I can't help it. That day, I decided that जो इज्जत के साथ खेलेगा, उसको मैं खेलने नहीं दूंगा. Izzat means everything. And the entire Indian army works on Izzat. Each one of you works on Izzat. The most treasurable thing, the most valuable thing in life is self-respect. And that is why when in the Indian army or any of the forces, when your troops are willing to give their life for your team, your Paltan, and your country, it is only because of Izzat, the self-respect, not because of any salary. You think somebody is going to give his life for 50,000 rupees, 60,000 rupees? No. He gives it. He's willing to walk into a fire because he cannot refuse to step back in front or along with his batchmates or his troops. You can't turn back. We create this in the Indian Army. This is not made all of a sudden. Achanak se nahi banta ye. We create it. Every day of your training, every day of your exercise, we create this self-respect. We create this mind that is never willing to give up. And that is what makes the Indian Armed Forces what it is today. And that's why the whole country respects the Indian Armed Forces more than anything else. In your life, like I said earlier, I'll not try and make it an ML. It's going to be about my life. If you think you can draw anything out from it, and my life has been, I've been the most ordinary person, like I told you. A 3-point blanket in GCIs and a whole lot of things. But I've learned from this training that I received all along in the NDA and in the army. I remember when I wanted to take up shooting as a sport. So I'd already become instructor in infantry school Mau, teaching the young officers of the Indian Army tactics, weapons. And there was an opportunity to get into the Indian Army team, shooting team. And I started shooting. I went to Delhi. I went to Delhi for training, and I had to get an arms license. This is about 8 years into my service. I had to get an arms license. I had already been to Kashmir, and I went to the police officer there, must be a Havaldar, who sits on the desk to give arms license. And he kept refusing me for days and days. Now, without an arms license, I couldn't be a shooter. You have to have an arms license to get ammunition. One day, I sat in his office for 7 hours. And I kept sitting in front of him, and he would not address me as Captain so-and-so or whatever. He would just address me by my name. और ये मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूं आप सबको, क्योंकि आप सबके जीवन में ऐसे बहुत अवसर आएंगे, जहां आपको लगेगा मैं तो अफसर हूं, और ये मेरे को वो इज्जत नहीं दे रहा जो एक अफसर को मिलनी चाहिए. उस समय मुझे भी ऐसा लगता था. 7 घंटे में उसके सामने वहां पे बैठा. वो कहता रहा कि मेरे पास समय नहीं है. उसका लंच ब्रेक भी हुआ, उसने मेरे सामने बैठ के खाना भी खाया. मैं बैठा रहा और मैं बड़े तसल्ली से बैठा रहा. मैंने कहा जब भी आपके पास समय हो आप मेरा आर्म्स लाइसेंस की फाइल साइन कर दीजिएगा. शाम के 7 बजे जाकर he said, तेरे से मैं इंप्रेस हूं. He was an हवलदार, पुलिस हवलदार. He said, तेरे से मैं इंप्रेस हूं, ये रही फाइल साइन के दी. When you choose an objective, a mission, don't get distracted from that mission. If you have decided what you want to do, आपका लक्ष्य क्या है, उसके बाद उसके चारों तरफ कुछ भी होता रहे, उससे आप विचलित मत होइए. उससे आप पथ भ्रष्ट मत होइए. Don't lose your path once you have decided on an objective, irrespective of how many times you are humiliated, because that, Havaldar, does not make a difference in my life now, does it? No difference. And there'll be many such people in your life who will make no difference to you later, once you have decided what you have to do. Steadfast in your objective, and everything else doesn't matter. Whenever anyone sees a shadow, a leaf moving, wind shaking anything, they should feel it is 9 Grenadiers, Mewar soldiers, it is Indian Army soldiers. The terrorists need to fear us, and that's what we will create, and that's how I will take you alive. That's the commitment that we need to generate with each other. Give our blood and sweat so that we are able to go back to the families. That's the only welfare I understand. You know the difference between, and every time we would walk into a patrol, we would go patrolling, as a commander, I would always be visualizing, and everyone does it, I'm no special, we'd always be visualizing, if the fire comes from this side, how am I going to react? If this situation happens, how am I going to react? It was always constantly in my mind, so we were sort of prepared much in advance for any eventuality that would happen. You know the difference between commitment and contribution? Yeah, Fort Thomas, you would like to contribute to this nation building, or would you like to commit to this nation building? Tell me. When you go for breakfast in the morning and you see the egg on your plate, that's the commitment of the chicken towards your health. That's the contribution of the chicken towards your health. It's a contribution. But in the evening when you go and there's a chicken leg piece, that's a commitment of that chicken towards your health. The Indian Armed Forces does not contribute to nation building, it is committed to nation building. Every time you are committed to any objective that you choose, any task that you choose, you will succeed. I got an opportunity much later to get into the shooting team. The moment I got into the shooting team, I immediately got into the Indian team. And when I got into the Indian team, a lot of people in the army told me, it's all right now. Stay on for about 5-6 years. Manage your postings because you're in the Indian team. I said, Indian team doesn't matter. When you pass out from the NDA, and you pass out as a champion squadron, and you pass out as a sword of honor, you have a certain passion to do things. I said, if I have to do anything, I have to do it at the international level. Only that makes a difference. Being in the national team doesn't make a difference. And so my commitment to my training started from that day onwards. But there was no coach. 2018 now is way different than what 1998 was. In 1998, I was an officer, 8 years of military service. I was staying in Delhi. I was struggling. No funds, no sponsorships. My first sponsorship that I was looking for was 10,000 rupees. I did not get it from anyone, nowhere. After about a couple of months, my mother realized how badly I'm struggling. And then she gave me 50,000 rupees. That was my first sponsorship. So I was struggling in those days. And as I was committed to my training to excel, I needed to find that passion and find that knowledge. And I wanted to find that drive inside me to overcome all the limitations there were. So when I would go to a get-together in the evening with the civilians, they would ask me, typical question in Delhi, how many Delhiites? They would ask me, typical question in Delhi, what do you do? The basic question was, how do we judge your status? When somebody asks you, what do you do? Basically, he wants to know what's your status. I never introduced myself as an army officer because I wanted to get it in my face what they feel about a sportsman. And I would say, I'm a shooter, a sportsman. And immediately, I could see the difference in their look. They would look me up and down and say, what the hell is he doing in this party? I wanted that because I wanted that drive. I wanted it to hit me inside so that I could overcome all the limitations. And what were the limitations? There was no coach. There was no funding. But you had the best of the world competing against you. So I got back to what is most important, is to acquire knowledge. I got onto my net. I got a computer for myself, a second-hand computer. I used to sit in the night, and one of my batchmates, one of my course mates was doing, was in IIT Delhi, and I went to him and he says, I said, teach me how to work on the internet. He said, buzz off, learn yourself. And that was right, because nobody can teach you in half an hour. I got myself a second-hand computer. I used to sit in the night and learn how to start a computer, how to work on the computer. And I was training as well. And then I reached out to a person in America. Are you sleepy? Okay, look right. Look left. Wake up the guy who's sleeping. Wake up, wake up. All right, so I wrote an email to a person in America. And I said, this is the situation in India. I didn't know that person. He was a very well-known person. And I just randomly wrote an email to him. And I said, this is the situation in India. This is my background. Whoever I thought were my friends in the corporate world, whatever, are giving me no sponsorships. There is no system here. How do you think I can move ahead? He wrote me a fantastic email. And this is the year 2002, January. I got an email back from him, and he wrote to me, your conditions will keep changing. Today they may be good, tomorrow they may be bad. Your friends will, their responses will keep changing, good and bad. It's not your conditions that will shape and define your future. It's your decisions in those conditions that are going to shape and define your future. And so take charge now and say to yourself, I can. And I can means improvement that is constant and never ending. And I took that email out, I printed it, and I pasted it all over my room. I would get up and I would see that blown up. I would brush and I would see it on the mirror. Wherever I went in my house, I would see that email that take charge of your life, don't depend on others. Improvement that is constant and never ending. Not the conditions, but my decisions. That was the year 2002, January, and I decided I will not blame the system at all. I will take charge of whatever I need to do. I will do it myself, and I will excel. 2002, January, and now I'll take you to 2002, May. 2002, May is World Championship shooting happening in Finland, in Lahti, Finland. In May, in Finland, the sun doesn't set. It's always up there. And I'm training hard because I've decided that irrespective of whatever, I will acquire knowledge from the internet of what a coach would say and use it. So whose knowledge was I using? I read up all the interviews of the Olympic gold medalist and his psychologist and his trainer. And I started understanding what is his coach telling the Olympic gold medalist who was competing against me. And I realized his coach was telling him to make things simple. to make things simple. So when we shoot double trap, we have two targets the size of a tea saucer plate. And that flies out at about 90 kilometers an hour. And it flies out in two different directions. You have half a second, 0.5 seconds to shoot two targets. And you have 150 targets overall. It is very complicated because there's wind, there's pressure, there's nerves, there are thoughts. Others are shooting high score. It's complicated. In half a second, many things can happen. But yet the idea was to simplify it. So I acquired the knowledge. And I started putting that into action. And I worked hard for 5 months, 6 months, and it was Lahti, Finland. Everybody went back from training. They were training from morning 9 o'clock to about evening 6 o'clock. Everyone went back. There are only 2 people on the shooting range. It's Khalid Al-Mudaf of Kuwait and his coach, Rustam. Khalid Al-Mudaf is the world champion at that point of time. He's training because he's struggling, and I'm training because I'm as it is a struggler, never won. But I'm watching Khalid, and I'm saying, I need to learn from others because I don't have a coach. So I'm watching Khalid very carefully. I'm listening to Rustam, what Rustam is telling Khalid. And Rustam is literally telling him that, Khalid, go ahead and shoot at 25 out of 25. He shoots trap. There are 25 targets. He's telling him to shoot 25 out of 25. He says, Khalid, you can't come back without 25. You're a world champion. And he's shooting 24, 23, shooting morning to night. It's 9 o'clock. The sun's up. Tell him, Khalid, go back and shoot. We can't go back. We will not go back until you shoot a 25 out of 25. And every time Khalid goes in to shoot, I go in to shoot double trap. And I said, I have to shoot a 25 out of 25, the second target. So if I have 50 targets, every time 2 targets are flying out, if I cut off 1 target, the other is 25, right? So I said, I have to shoot my second target, which was my weakness, because the first, you shoot the first, you go and shoot the second. Because of recoil and everything, you miss out the second. So I said, I have to shoot a 25 to 25 on my second. So he goes in to shoot 25 to 25, I can come in to shoot 25 to 25 or 50 out of 50. I end up on 47, 46, he ends up on 24, 23. We go back, we come back in, we go back, we come back in. Khalid is ready to throw his gun on his coach. He says, I'm tired, coach, I can't do it anymore. And finally we go back from there without him shooting a 25 out of 25 and without me shooting a 50 out of 50. 2 days later is World Championship. No practice, match. My first round, I shoot a 50 out of 50. I've never shot a 50 out of 50 in my life till then in training. But this is the match, the second biggest after the Olympics. And I shoot a 50 out of 50 in the first round. This is putting your knowledge into action because of sheer willpower. And then I learned many, many lessons after that. And so 2002 was my first ever medal. And that was the Commonwealth Games gold after the World Championship. I didn't win in the World Championship. I won 15, 20 days later. From Lahti, we flew down to England. And Manchester, 2002, I won the Commonwealth gold there. So I've spoken about so many things, if you recollect, about commitment, about izzat, about knowledge, about action, about cutting off everything else but remembering your objective. And where have I learned all this from? The very shoes you wear, the very belt you wear, the very beret you wear, the very system that exists from now up to later when you become officers. You have to remember, I have seen the Indian Armed Forces from inside, from outside when I was a shooter, because I was as good as a civilian for many years, and then again from another angle. You have to remember this. Indian Army is the most respected organization in India. If it has to remain so, if it has to be the most respected, the most iconic, It has to be because of each one of you who represent the armed forces. You are the faces of what armed forces is. Your soldiers are the faces what armed forces is. It's not because of salary, don't get misled. It's because of the whole pride, the self-respect, because of which you join the armed forces. It's not a job. It's not a job. So, make all of us proud. You have the potential. Each one of you has the potential. Each one of you has something or the other special in him. So make all of us proud, make your battalions proud, make your ships, make your squadrons proud. And I thank you once again for not sleeping. And I thank you once again for this huge honor that you have given me by allowing me to come and speak to you in front of you. Thank you so much.
Alpha CC Praveen Kumar. I would like to ask a question that you were a blazer in volleyball, sir, during your academic time, but you pursued shooting as your career. So why this phenomenal change in your life?
So I started playing volleyball after seeing Top Gun movie. Have you seen Top Gun? Air Force guys. I think it's a phenomenal movie, right? I saw it. In 4th term, I started playing volleyball. In 5th term, I got the blazer. And I was always a sportsman. I played everything that came. I hated studies, but I loved sports. And from Indian Military Academy, of course, I passed out. I did boxing as well. And I played water polo. I did everything, literally. But at that point of time, in NDA, we used to be restricted to play only one sport. You couldn't play multiple sports. We had like, for every sport, we used to have 6 strings. You still have it? So जब हॉकी होती थी, तो जो 6 स्ट्रिंग होती थी, उस समय एक सीरियल आता था महाभारत. और जैसे ही हॉकी स्टार्ट होती थी, सब बाहर से गाने लगते थे महाभारत, because 6 string your technical ability was not too good, but everyone had to play. So well, I played whatever came in front of me, and since I was a sportsman at heart, when I became an officer, of course, I committed myself to being a good officer. I became an instructor. But after coming back from Kashmir, I thought that I need that adrenaline rush. Kashmir had that rush every day. Every day, I used to compare it to one-day match. Every day we go out, we make a score and we come back. And I used to, the whole intelligence network that we had set up, it was fabulous. And I missed Kashmir after that, so I said, give me some other rush. So the rush was sports. Does it answer you? Anyone
Jen, sir. Cadet Sumit Dhaka, Kilos Cone. Sir, my question is that...
Which term are you, please?
4th term, sir. Sir, you lived a life both as an officer and an exceptional sports person. Which part you found more exciting and more full of struggles, sir?
I think as a soldier, as an officer, it gave me the foundation to overcome every challenge that I could face. And so sports was just one of those challenges. The foundation was being an armed forces officer.
Then sir, SEC Dhiram Jedi, Kilo Squadron. Sir, representing India at Olympics is a Herculean task, sir. Can you please share your experience?
Do you still shout kilo, kilo? Right? Hasn't changed, huh? Look, as an EcoScon guy, I have to pull your leg, yeah, so don't mind it, huh? Don't mind it. No, sweet of you, thanks. Please sit. Yeah, representing the country at the Olympics is a huge honor, absolutely huge honor. Just to walk into that stadium, it gives you goose pimples, and seeing that huge audience all around and carrying your Indian flag is super, absolutely. I'll tell you a story just short of the Olympics. So this is Athens, not the Olympics, but a World Cup before Olympics. So we are practicing, it's a competition, And by then, it's 2004, and so by then I'm confident, super confident of what I can do. And we are also friends with the other shooters from European countries, etc., etc. We're good friends with them, so we keep pulling each other's leg. So it's warm, it's hot outside, and you have to shoot and you have to come back. You come back into the lounge. The lounge is air conditioned. You have all sorts of good things to eat and your massagers to get your muscles ready back again for the action. The Europeans had all that much better than us. So we used to walk back in, and I had this Greek shooter who was sitting with, the Greek team was sitting with jackets made up of ice. So they were wearing the ice. They would come back inside, put on the ice jackets, and zip it up. So I said, hey, what is this you're wearing? So he wanted to pull my leg, so he says, you know what? You Indians don't have this. This is the new technology, sports science. These ice jackets get our body back again into action faster than your bodies. So I said, look, buddy, you have to compete with India. You have to do all these, you have to get your body back into action quickly because we're going to hit you hard there. So, you know, that sense of confidence had come in. But yes, Olympics is super, absolutely super. It's a great honor. It's a lot about mind, you're shooting. I told myself, so you have to simplify things. Remember I told you, you have to simplify things, things that are complicated. In your life, you can simplify things. Your mind is the most important weapon you have. You can simplify things. Anytime, you should know what, who, when, how. What do you have to do? How would you do it? When is the right time to do it? And who would help you do it? What are the things I said? What, when, how, and who. What do you have to do? How will you do it? Who will help you do it? When is the right time to do it? Clear your mind and make it simple. In the finals, I made everything very simple, like a keyword. And that keyword was a trigger for me, for set my mind into motion. The keyword was, with all those complications, I made it simple. The keyword was, I see it, I kill it. So the target comes out, there's no complication. Let there be wind, let there be turbulence. I see it, and I kill it. And on the last shot, I knew I have to shoot both the targets. And my hands were trembling. I picked up my hand to measure something, and my hand was shaking like this. And I put my hand down. So the cameras are around. They should not pick up my shivering hand. It's only that for a millisecond you become calm, because then you again start shivering. And at that millisecond, when I was about to pick up my gun, and I told myself, God, just let me see that target. Because if I see it, I will kill it. Right? So make things simple. It's all about nerves and emotions. Yeah, anybody with?
Jain sir, BCS Dillon. Sir, as we all know that you are an ex-NDA, so would you throw some light on how your military life influenced or shaped your political career?
You know, back when Dylan, please sit. When I walk in front of my constituency people, I believe they see a difference. Humans can perceive much more than what we say. Because humans perceive emotions, body expressions, body language, everything. It's not just your words. They perceive everything. So when I go and talk to my constituency people, and when I go and commit myself to a work that I have to do, they see in my eyes the promise of a soldier. They don't see a promise of a politician. I think that is the most important thing.
Jain sir, DCC Satyam Mishra, Golf Squadron. Sir, I would like to know, sir, how was it when you, after clinching the Olympic medal, when you went back to your Pulton and met your men?
That was great. And guess what? My Pulton was in Jaipur that time. So it was a very proud moment for me with all my Jawans and my JCOs and officers. I was very happy that the limelight also came on my battalion, because it's my battalion that made me, right? Your battalions will train you further. This is just the foundation. I remember please sit. I remember as a shooter in IMA, NDA, I was just average, whatever they call marksmen or whatever, there are hundreds of them. But what? we were always bothered about the helmet, right? It always keeps shaking on your head, right? Doesn't goddamn stay at one place, right? Sometimes here, sometimes there. I hope the helmets have become better now, but we used to be worried about that. Number two, we used to be worried that drill sahi honi chahiye, boss. Nahi to piche se danda padega. It doesn't matter whether the bullets are hitting the target or not. Drill bilkul sahi honi chahiye. और समय से गोली बाहर निकल जानी चाहिए. The moment he whistle, dum dum dum, khatam. So you average. But when I went back to my battalion, I was made in charge of the shooting team. So the shooting team was better than me. My JCOs were better than me. And they always are. This is what you learn when you go to your battalions. You may be the CSMs here, you may be the ACS or whatever, or OCs. When you go to your Pulton, you learn many more finer things. So my JCO there told me, Saab, I'll teach you how to shoot, right? And this, he said very quietly, he didn't say in front of the Javans, these are the good soldiers we have in the army. He took me aside, he said, Saab, I'll teach you how to shoot. And then you teach all of us. I remember my first encounter in Kashmir. I planned that encounter, and we went out, we laid an ambush. So we walked at about 1 o'clock in the night. We kept walking for 5 hours. We established an ambush at a place where the terrorists used to come down. And this was 6 o'clock in the morning. The terrorists didn't come into that ambush till about 11 o'clock. And the guys were getting a little jittery. And I said, look, hold on for a little more time. And we saw the footprint marks at everything. There was sneaker marks, and we said, this is it. And there was a log put over a river. So we said, they are bound to cross here. We waited for a couple of minutes more, and in walked the terrorists. And that was my second lesson. I was going, tamam, tamam, tamam. And suddenly I had a tap on my shoulder. I looked back, and he was my JCO, who used to be, when my father was commanding, he used to be an NCO. He said, Sab, your job is to regulate everyone's fire, not fire yourself. I said, all right. All right. Anyone else?
May I now request the Commandant to felicitate the Honorable Minister.
May I take a minute, sir, with your permission?
Please, sir.
Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, it's always a great privilege, an honor for me to felicitate an ex-NDA who has done well. And I know for sure that there are no ex-NDAs who do not do well. Thank you very much, sir, for taking your time off to come and speak with us. And it's indeed exceptional of you to keep the entire audience not only awake and inspired, and connect with them all through from the first word right till the end. When you spoke so much of simplifying things and simplicity, I was also reminded of Mr. Jatwa, who said that when I got married, my wife was awfully simple. Now she is simply awful. Anyway, that said, gentlemen, since there are no lady cadets, I'm putting this right across to you guys with no gender specification. So, gentlemen, Colonel Rathor's story, whatever he has said, right from his NDA days until today, all the successes, all the glory, all the greatness that he has enjoyed, you would have realized has not gone without its own share of hard work, difficulties, challenges, and things like that. Though through the story, what I would want you to carry from here are the facts that everything that he said about from the word go, each of them had lessons on leadership. And that's what we are here for, Cradle for Leadership. The fire in the belly, the first thing. Choosing the right aim and sticking to it. Commitment to the mission. And communication, both external to your people, and more importantly, communication to yourself is equally important. When he said that, look, I'm going to do this, should I do this? All those are communication which are happening within and to oneself. They are all very important aspects of leadership. Along with the interesting story, please, whenever, if you are going to post those things on your cabins, no, I don't expect you to post things on your cabins. I'll come around and take that out. But wherever, documents that you would keep to you in your diaries, please put out those lessons that are equally important, which you need to pursue. And as he has also highlighted and brought out amply, vividly, that each one of you can be successful. It's not just one or two. Everybody has got a role, and there is success for everyone in some field or the other. You need to find your calling, and that you have to do. Like I had said earlier, whatever you are, whichever field you are, be the best. That's what you can strive for. And that fire will have to come from within. And with that, thank you, sir, for inspiring the whole lot of people. As you said, the future of Indian Armed Forces. It'll go a long way, and it'll remain very impressionable all through their life. With that, I wish you greater glory and success, continued success in your career and personal life ahead. And we only feel more and more proud that you're there ahead. All the very best to you. May I request you to accept a memento from your alma mater on behalf of all of us.
No, I don't, and it's beautiful, absolutely. Thank you so much. Very kind. Thanks. Thank you.